Hello, all you out there. Welcome to another episode of Aslan Speaks. Um, some of you guys may not know why I chose my title as Aslan Speaks, and it comes from I was a fan of the Chronicles of Narnia books when I was younger, and Aslan the Lion off of Chronicles of Narnia, and those books and that series, that writer really resonated with me back in the day, and he put a lot of he told a fiction story, but he put some hidden knowledge within those books, Christian knowledge within those books. And so what I do is Aslan means like Christ speaks, and I'm not Christ by any means. I'm just an average human being living a human life. I'm flawed. I make mistakes, but I try my best to walk a righteous, or live righteously, or walk a right path, or make right decision. That is what his righteousness really means. Some people say, oh, that person's really righteous, or righteousness. But you gotta be righteousness or right, but be humble. Because you come across people who are righteous, but they're not humble. It's always their way, they know better. I don't claim to know all the answers in life. I'm still figuring them out myself. But I try my best to do right by people, do the right action, make that right choice even when the decision is really difficult. Some of us do the herd mentality, meaning they go along to get along. Sometimes you can't go along to get along, especially if it goes against everything that you believe in, or goes against your soul within you. When everyone else is jumping off that bridge in life, I'm not going to be that dude just because they're doing it, I'm going to do it. No. I follow my soul. I follow my intuition. And today, basically, the title is called A Lesson in Life Lessons. And I didn't write no script. This is just a freestyle. This is words from the soul, words from my higher self, or the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. So, a lesson in life lessons. All of us in our lives have had lessons or experiences or catalytic events that happened to us that changed our trajectory in our lives. You know, when you would have asked me this stuff in my early 20s, did I learn from my lessons? Not all the time. I would say I learned from them, but I would keep repeating the same mistakes. The definition of what's that? How's it go? The definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and expecting the same results. Sometimes you gotta stop doing the same thing over and over again in life and do a different thing or choose differently. And so the message today is basically I'm going to share with you some of the lessons that I've learned. And some of the lessons I had to keep learning until I actually learned from them. So I ask you guys out there, take a moment and think about catalytic events in your life that changed you or affected your life drastically. Maybe it was somebody else who caused that catalytic event in your life, or maybe it was you. Through your thoughts, actions, and deeds, it caused a catalytic event in your life. So lesson one, or one of the lessons I had to learn, was to follow God or spirit, whatever you guys want to call it, because everyone wants to put a definition on it. I trust what resonates best with you. Me, I'm a godly person. I'm a spiritual person. And in my early 20s, I kind of steered away from my spirituality or God. And I had kept having catalytic events that brought me closer to God, closer to my faith. And I had to learn from that experience, or those experiences that kept happening to me, to always be spiritual, always be godly, always be loving. And over the years, I started trusting my faith and being more spiritual every day. And God would show me miracles every day. And when you're not being godly or spiritual, you won't see those, because your focus or your attention or your awareness is somewhere else. So you don't see God working in your life. You don't see spirit working in your life. But when you turn your attention and focus on God and spirit, you start to seeing amazing things. And when you start turning to God, you awaken your spiritual gifts within you. And then they get stronger and stronger and stronger. So that's one of the lessons I had to learn. To learn to trust God or spirit or whatever you want to define it as. To tap into your soul. Lesson 2. I had to learn to get rid of my pride. Yep. When I was young, I was very prideful. And I had to learn to be humble. I had to learn that I don't know all the answers. And that my way might not always be the right way for other people. Family, friends, or relationships. So I had to learn to have a humble and loving heart. Even with the people that trigger you the most. They have a humble and loving heart. Another lesson, I had to stop blaming others. I had to stop playing the victim in life. I had to learn to basically sit down with myself and be like, hey, you're the one who messed up. You're the one who made that mistake. Because we let people into our lives and they could be the catalysts, but we're the ones who open that door to allow those people into our lives who were those catalyst moments or those triggering people. So I had to sit down with myself and admit my wrongs to myself and to others. Instead of blaming and pointing the finger, you did this, you did that, it's your fault. I had to take accountability. And it's very humbling and it's kind of freeing when you can take accountability for yourself, for your actions. And when you learn to take accountability, you learn to not make the same mistakes in life, because you're like, hey, I messed up, I did this person wrong, or I made this bad decision or choice in life, and now I take accountability within myself. Instead of pushing the blame out there, you take the blame on yourself, and then your life starts to change, because then you're like, you don't play that victim no more. I've had tons of terrible experiences or catalytic events in my life that were very difficult, life-changing. And some of those lessons kept happening to me because I wasn't learning from my ways. I ask you guys out there, are you learning from your lessons in life? I talk about the law of karma. What you do comes back to you in some other form, or some other shape. So if you wrong people, you'll be wronged. And it's super important. One of the other lessons I learned is to be good to other people. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. It's super important. And it goes so much, it's not just Christianity or Jesus saying that. It's a law, the law of cause and effect. The law of karma. So I learned to be good, or be a good human being to everybody. Even to those who upset you the most, try to be as good. Because if you're sitting there and maybe your life is not going as according to plan, well, what actions are you doing to make your life not go according to plan? Maybe you don't have control over your anger, so you tend to lash out and make hasty decisions out of anger, and then it causes a ripple effect in your life. So what I've learned is to be good, a good human being. To always try to do right by others. And sometimes when you do right by others, others do wrong by you. And it's tough. Another lesson, and this goes out for all those who are seeking relationship advice. When you find a good-hearted human being, keep them. Simple as that. If you find a good, loving heart that wants to stay by your side, you keep that. You know, I've had to learn this lesson over and over again because I had, you know, some really good women in my life, but I wasn't 100% attracted to them, you know, physically, you know, the outer appearance. And then I would go after the ones who I was super physically attracted to, but they didn't have a good heart. And my heart ended up always being broken. And then I always would sit down with myself and reflect on the relationships. And I realized the ones that I should have kept, I let go. So if you find a good-hearted man or a good-hearted woman, keep them. And try to build something with them. Truly give it your all. Because you'll sit down, if you're like me, you'll sit down with yourself and be like, man, I let go of a keeper. It might be 3, 4, or 5 years down the road. And you reflect back and you're like, I've had all these rocky relationships, and I had that one person back in the day that was always there for me, who listened to me when I was in struggling moments in my life. They truly cared. They always picked up your phone. They gave you the shirt off their backs. And they were just loving and caring. So if you find a keeper, you keep them. But let's face it, not every relationship works out, but you gotta learn, if you find a keeper, keep them. Because what happens? You keep going after your lust or that physical attraction, but their heart is not attractive. Their actions and deeds, or their mentality in life, is not attractive. And then you go for the outer appearance, and then you soon find out that their inner appearance is not so beautiful, and then it causes havoc in your life. So don't make my mistakes, guys. If you have somebody in your life who, yeah, you're attracted to them, you care about them, but you're not over the moon for them, but yet they're a good-hearted human being, keep them. The grass is not always greener on the other side. A lot of people think, you know, are with a good-hearted person, and then they're tempted by temptation to look over that fence and, oh, that, you know, might find another partner who's more attractive or may have more money. Then you jump that fence thinking, hey, I'll have a better outcome, and then you find out that it's a desert on the other side of the fence. Food for thought, guys. So we all have lessons in our lives. So a lesson in life lessons. Another lesson I had to learn is sometimes we have to unplug. Unplug from this materialism and greedy world. And we have to unplug and find ourselves. What does make you tick? What upsets you? What makes you happy? What are you in pursuit of? What are you in pursuit of in your life? You have to unplug, guys. It's really important to recharge your soul. Me, I'm a loving and giving person. And what happens is I give, you know, and then I get burnt out. So I had to find a balance within myself. That's why I don't always put videos out there all the time, because I only try to make videos or content when I'm in line with myself. How I unplug is I get out in nature. I turn my phone off. I get off of social media. And then I surround myself with people who truly love me. All right, that brings up another life lesson. To be a good friend, to be a good family member, or be a good loving partner in life, you have to be those things. You want a good friend in your life, but yet you're not a good friend yourself, then what happens is you lose a good friend. You lose a good family member. You lose a good relationship because you're not being loyal or caring, and you're not being there for them when they need you the most. But yet they're always there for you. So to be a good loving human, or to keep good loving humans in your life, you have to be a good loving human. It's important. I am blessed with, I can count on my hand a group of friends that I've known since 7th, 8th grade. And do I talk to them all the time? No, sometimes there's been like a year or two since I last talked to them. But I could call them and they'll be there for me. And they know that if they call me, even if I haven't talked to them in a year or two, that I'll be there for them. Maybe I'm physically distant apart, but I'll do what I can to be there for them. So I was blessed to have a solid group of friends. But the lesson was I chose solid, good friends. Because you, in the end, ultimately choose who you allow into your life. You can hang out with certain groups of friends that could break you or make you. Because let's face it, guys, even in my younger 20s, I was around some friends that I thought at the time were friends, but they led me down a dark path. They led me to drugs and alcohol. They led me to do things that were not in my higher nature. And when I was young, I was blinded and I thought those things were fun. But I didn't realize that those choices and those friends were steering me in a life that was not productive. That I made poor decisions. And so I had to struggle in life. The lesson I learned is I had to learn who I allowed into my life. Who do you allow into your life? And it could be all forms. It could be a friend. It could be a group of friendships. It can be a family members. It could be a lover or a romantic fling. It can be just like your bowling team or a group of coworkers. In the end, you allow your circle in life. Now you can bring into your life a circle of people that just drain and deplete you and steer you from your highest goal in life or your truest destiny. Or you can surround yourself with people that steer you or help guide you into your destiny, to fulfilling your what's meant for you, to help build you up. They don't drain. They don't take, but they give. And I'm blessed, and I have to take a moment sometimes to realize how blessed I am. Because I do have a really good circle of people around me. Now maybe it's me, because I'm a good loving human being, and they see that I'm a good loving human being, so I attract other good loving human beings to me. In the past, there's been times where I wasn't a good friend. I wasn't a good lover or a good family member. I was selfish, or I acted out of anger. And I pushed those people away from me. But the coolest thing is, if you change yourself, you can pull those people to you. You can be a light, a beacon of light, a beacon of hope, a beacon of love for somebody in your life, or the people in your life. Or there's people out there who are a beacon of darkness, that when they enter your life, they just take. They give you the woe is me or the victim story. And me being a loving, compassionate person, I feel bad for the people who don't know how great life can be when you find God or when you find yourself. Another thing, the lesson I've learned is, you can't change people. You can't force your opinions or your beliefs or the way you think somebody should be onto somebody. So all that does is drives them away farther. They have to discover their truth for themselves. Me, especially being a spiritual person and having all this knowledge, there's been times where I just dump all this knowledge and everything that I've learned onto somebody. I'm like, hey, if you incorporate this, your life will get better. But some of the stuff that's how I am is not meant for everybody else. And some stuff is meant for people. Another lesson I had to learn: to master your addictions in life. Sorry if the camera's shaking, the wind is getting a little windy here. Master your addictions. I mentioned this before in other videos. What you consume consumes you. We all have light and dark aspects of ourselves. I've walked in many shoes and wore many hats in my life, and I've seen both spectrums of life. And I've seen people who just, their addictions took root in them and basically controlled their life. And now for many years, they're living an unhappy life, an unfulfilled life. They're filled with depression, they're filled with anxiety, because they chose to let their addictions conquer them. Instead of looking within themselves, they chose to look outside the world for materialism. So they're temporarily filled up with happiness, that temporary fleeting happiness. And so they choose to drink. And that temporary drinking makes them feel good for a couple hours, but then maybe they make a bad decision while they're intoxicated. And then they wake up unhappy. What you consume consumes you. Another thing, what lens or awareness are you seeing or acting upon in this world? Is your lenses or your awareness of that guides your decisions, is it coming from a foggy lens, an unclear lens? I was guilty of this. I used to smoke a lot of herb back in the day, and I made decisions with a foggy lens, foggy awareness. I wasn't thinking clearly. I made irrational decisions. Why? Because my mind, my vessel, my beingness was filtered through herb. So I wasn't making clear decisions. You've seen people who have, if you've been around the bar life or been around people who drink, they drink and then they make decisions or do actions when they're on that substance. Their lenses or their awareness or their choices were not clear. So basically what I'm saying, guys, if you want a better life, I learned to always try to have a clear mind and a clear heart and make my decisions from my soul, from my heart, through my clear mind. And I had to learn to cut out that herb and that drinking. And it's, I don't judge people who do those things, because I still myself, I drink a little bit every now and then, but I don't let it control my life. And I always try not to get, when I go out and drink, I don't get wasted. I try to always stay in control of myself. I don't lose control. And I always try to make good decisions in my life. Because if you make decisions with a foggy awareness or foggy lens in life, it'll steer you down a different path, or a path that you're not meant to be on. So are you coming from a place where you're in tune with yourself? Are you in tune with your soul and making decisions from a soul and heart level? Or are you making decisions about your life when your mind is foggy, when your mind is in an altered state? What you consume consumes you, guys. Another decision is, you can't rely on other people to be the hero of your life. Hold on, guys, my throat is getting a little dry. You can't rely on other people to be the hero of your life. You have to become the hero of your life. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results. You see this in other people's lives all the time. They got lack of money. They always have bad relationships. They always have bad jobs. They always have falling out with people. Maybe they always turn to their addictions. Why? Because they're making the same decision over and over again. Maybe they're always choosing the wrong partner in life, or the wrong friendships, or the wrong group of friends. You're one thought and one decision away from changing your life forever. You're one thought and one decision away from changing your life forever. Meaning, if you're stuck in that cycle of life and you're not getting anywhere, some people go their whole lives in that cycle. I've been caught in that cycle. Never getting ahead. Always in lack. Bad relationships. Why? Because I was making the same decisions and respecting the same results. And then I learned I had to change myself to, you could choose to get off that hamster wheel that's taking you nowhere and choose the straight path in life that'll take you somewhere. And some of those decisions are the hardest you'll ever face, because you're going to have to let go of somebody that you may love, but you know that they're bad for you. Some of those decisions is, you've been working at a job that you thought is good, but you have to get, in order to get a better job that makes you happy, you got to let go of the old one. Sorry, all this talking is making my throat raspy. So become the hero of your life. Some people look for other people and be like, hey, I'm going to be in a relationship with this person or that person, and they'll help me. That only works temporarily until you fix yourself. So become the hero of your life. Meaning, learn to change your life. Make good decisions in your life. Be a good human being in your life. Learn to cut out all the toxic behaviors. Sit with yourselves, guys. You guys know You already intuitively know what you need to fix in your life and what you don't need to fix in your life. A lot of you guys, you know the answers. You just choose to ignore them. So another life lesson I had to learn. This one's really important. To learn to trust your intuition, your inner knowing. Some people spent their whole lives ignoring it, and so now they question it when it happens. Trust your inner knowing. That is why I'm doing this video today. Because my inner knowing or my intuition was so loud all day saying, hey, you have to make a video on life lessons. A lesson on life lessons. So that's what I'm doing. And then I'm letting my intuition or my inner knowing within me speak to you. Some say call it a higher self, whatever you want to call it. Is it me speaking to you, or is it my higher self speaking to you? Maybe it's my higher self speaking to you, or my intuition speaking to you through me, but through my lens, or through my personality of the Aslan. So trust your inner knowing. Stop ignoring it. What else, guys? You know, we all have life lessons. And then take inner reflection. You have to look within. It's really important. Because you can't change if you don't actually sit down. Because some people, they don't realize one of my gifts is I'm always analyzing things in my head or in my brain. I look at other people's behaviors, how they treat me, their actions, or how I treat others, or the choices I make, and I reflect on them. I reflect on my life lessons or my past mistakes, or my past relationships, or my past jobs, and I truly break them down and analyze them. It's an inner reflection. And I don't want this video to go too long. So this will be the last life lesson that I'll share with you. A lesson in life lessons. Learn, this is the last one I'll leave with you guys. Learn to heal yourself. We all have physical things that happen to us that hurt us. But we also have emotional trauma that we come across in our lives that hurt us. And that emotional trauma, believe it or not, affects your decisions or affects your life. So learn to heal those wounds in you. Some of that emotional trauma was caused by somebody else, but ultimately it was caused by you because you allowed that to affect you. Now, obviously we have emotional traumas from when we were younger as well. We were kids. We were not in control of our lives. We weren't aware. We were just being kids. And God or the universe brought adults into our lives to help steer us. But some of those adults maybe made bad decisions. And they affected us as kids growing up. There's factors outside of our control. But the coolest thing is when you learn to sit with yourself, you can learn that, hey, I'm in control of my life. Are you, look, imagine you as a car. Do you have the wheel of your life, and are you steering it the way you want to steer it? Or are you just letting it steer itself, and then that's why you're having sporadic moments of success and sporadic moments of failure? Because you're not in control of you. You're guided by the ego. You're guided by anger. You're guided by lust. And so you're not truly in control of your mind and heart. And so your car is going this way, that way, forward, choosing the bumpy road, the broken road, or the clear road. Sometimes you have to be in control of your life. And one of the ways to get control of your life is one of the things is to heal oneself. You got to heal the three aspects: mind, body, and spirit. I had to learn that, guys. I had to learn some of the emotional trauma and wounds that I took on inside me. I caused myself through my actions and deeds, or through the people I allowed into my life, because I allowed certain people into my life that hurt me and broke my heart. And the lesson that I had to learn is not to allow toxic people into my life. Even though they might be a friend or family member or somebody you've known for a long time, but if they're gonna break out the dagger and stab you in the heart all the time, you gotta cut the ripcord, even though you may love them. I had to learn to see the red flags. Everybody, like, especially if you got looking for a good friend or a good lover, romantic relationship, look for the red flags. They have certain mannerisms or certain behaviors that you see right away, and you're like, there's something off here. Well, that's your soul screaming at you, saying, hey, dude, walk away. This person's not meant for you. And every time I ignored those red flags, I've been hurt really badly. Or you choose to ignore them. You're like, hey, I could fix this person, or this person can change. Nobody's going to change unless they want to change. And yes, miracles happen. Some people change. I'm living proof of that. I'm living proof of you could change your life for the better. But you have to sit with yourself, heal yourself, make good decisions, get off the hamster wheel of life when you're making the same mistakes over and over again. Because the thing about life lessons, they'll keep repeating themselves even when you think that you learn from it, 2-3 years down the road, something will happen to you that it's the same experience, because you actually haven't truly learned from it. But the awesome thing is, once you truly learn from it, learn from your past mistakes or the mistakes of others or bad decisions, or learn from those lessons, learning from that lesson, when it truly takes root in you, it won't repeat it, because you'll be wise enough where you take control of your life, and you're like, and you see something coming up in your lane, and you're like, oh, I experienced that life lesson before, and nope, not again, and you steer around it. So I leave you with this, my friends. What lessons in life have to learn from? What mistakes are you always repeating? Learn from your lessons in life. Become your highest self. Become the best version of yourself. That is why I do these videos. When you change yourself, and when you become the best version of yourself, you make the world around you, the environment around you, the best version of it. Many people chase love. They think, hey, if I find this person or that person, I'll be loved. You first have to learn to love yourself. If you're not happy with yourself, that's your soul telling you. When you sit down on yourself and you're in your bed and you're unhappy, something's not off, or you're in disharmony within yourself, that is your soul saying, hey, to fix it. You have to be the hero of your life. You have to be the builder of your life. You have to break out the hammer and nails and start building. So many people want everything given to them. You can't create unless you start creating it for yourself. What do you create in your world? Are you in lack? Because in a way, you're creating that for you. Do you have bad relationships or bad friendships? In a way, you're creating that for you. Take control of the steering wheel of your life. Learn from your lessons. Honestly. Sit down and start writing out things that you like. You could sit down with a pencil and pad and start writing out like life lessons and things that you had to learn. And then ask yourself, did I really learn from them? Or am I making the same mistakes? Then you can ask yourself, what can I do? What actions or deeds can I do to change my life? Maybe you have an addiction with alcohol. I just use this as a broad, we have many addictions. Well, you could write down, well, I choose not to go, I could choose not to go to the bar no more, because every time I go to the bar, I spend a whole bunch of money and I get drunk. So you could replace that atmosphere, that bar, with maybe going to the park or riding a bike. You could replace it with something. Maybe you always have a falling out with bad relationships. Then you ask yourself, what can I do to not make that mistake? Maybe it's, hey, I keep picking the bad, toxic people. So you could choose to pick a loving person. Maybe it's you who's the problem. Maybe you're the cause of all your pain and hurt. Sorry, car is coming driving by, guys. A lot of the times, we are our worst enemy, guys. We cause the pain and hurt in our lives. And literally, we are one decision and one thought away from changing our lives. Now, sometimes, like us, if we're not healed within ourselves, we don't have the true control of our ship. Sometimes we irrationally make a decision that has a ripple effect in our lives. We push that person away that could have been the person that you could have married, who could have helped you have a better life, but you pushed them away because they maybe said something that upset you, or they told you a truth about yourself that you didn't want to face. This video is getting longer, guys. I don't have all the answers. I recommend you guys check out my books. It really helps me, and I don't like to plug, but there's a lot of wisdom and knowledge in my books, and the books are Hidden Knowledge Gained Wisdom, Hidden Knowledge Gained Insight, and Hidden Knowledge Path to the Divine. Guys, I wrote those books not to be like greedy or to be famous. My soul or my higher self was basically sitting down with me, and I was like, hey, you got to put all the knowledge and stuff that you learn and put it out in the world, because it might help save someone's life or help change somebody's life. And lastly, you could be the change to help somebody in someone's life. You could be that good-hearted human to help somebody when they're in need the most. A lesson in life lessons, guys. Have you learned from your lessons? Or what is it that you have to learn? Alright, guys, I wish you the best out there. God bless you all. Have a great day. Peace, guys.